Wanted to share with you about a concept of the broken window. Where it comes from is you can picture. You've got a nice neighborhood, everything's going great. You may have some shops, and eventually, maybe one of the tenants moves out one of the buildings, and it becomes a vacant building. It becomes vacant over months and months, and all of a sudden one day a group of kids goes by and picks up a rock and throws it through a window. I don't know what attracts kids to windows. What used to attract me to a window, I'll be honest with you. But it breaks the glass. The owner doesn't see it. It stays broken, and then all of a sudden, the building starts to deteriorate a little bit, and maybe people say, "Oh, well, that building's a little run down." Well, they won't mind if I dump this trash here, and then all of a sudden, trash starts collecting in front of it. And then after a while, you got a broken window and you've got trash piled up, and maybe negative things start happening at that location. So you can see that just by the fact that something is neglected a little bit and then it stays that way, it starts to attract more neglect. And then eventually very negative things start happening there. You can see that in some urban environment or even in a rural environment, in a building of that sort. But I want to tell you also that can happen in our lives. Everything can be going fine, and we're doing the right things. We're treating people well. We're staying on top of our work or our schoolwork. Then all of a sudden, one day we let something slip. Maybe we have a broken window in the classroom. It may be in a biology class. We end up having a C or a D. And as we say, oh, well, that's okay. It's just in that class. But after a while, we start being content with that C, and all of a sudden it goes over to another class. And maybe as we start to develop that we eventually assume that other things, ways of treating people, maybe how we dress, maybe we're not taking care of ourselves physically anymore. And just because the broken window of maybe that class that you had starts adding up, and after you start letting those things slip, maybe then your behavior starts going a different direction also. And it's all because of that one broken window. There was another concept that I learned about recently, and I thought it was so true, that the truth that we can't be chasing or striving for excellence in one area of our life and being mediocre in another. I think about sports so much when we talk about striving for excellence. Maybe it's basketball, maybe it's baseball, maybe it's golf. That we are really trying our best. We're putting in 110% effort on our skills of that sport, and we're really trying hard. We're putting in the work. But then after practice, maybe we're putting in our bodies something that's mediocre. We aren't striving for excellence in our diet. We aren't striving for excellence in our fitness. We aren't striving for excellence in how we connect with our teammates. And we may in one area be absolutely busting our tail, doing everything it takes to improve our skill. But if we have that mediocrity in the other areas of our life, we're never going to be all that we were made to be. All of that work that you're going to be putting in to master your sport is going to be held back by the mediocrity that you're accepting in other areas of your life. It's kind of like if you were to look at a graph, you've got your personal life, maybe you've got your athletic life, maybe you've got your academic life, maybe you've got your spiritual life. That maybe your athletic chart is just way up here. But then your academic bar is right here. And maybe how you treat other people is right here. Maybe the things that you're doing on Friday night and putting into your body is right here. You want your life to be right here. But if this small area is right here and these other areas are down here, you're never going to get there. We try to fight it and say that it's not true. But if you've ever been in that situation where you have accepted mediocrity in your life, you can look forward and you can, or look back, in fact, and see how true that was. Even in my own life, when I was striving for business success, I was making the calls, putting in the time, spending my money wisely, looking where our expenses were, looking for new opportunities. I was a workaholic. So I was really striving for excellence in my business life. But I was not striving for excellence in my spiritual life. My once a week visit to the walls of a church for 1 hour a week wasn't getting it. I was accepting mediocrity, and I was never able to achieve that life fulfillment that I really wanted, that I thought I was working real hard for. But now that I look at it, when I changed, or when I refused to no longer accept mediocrity in my spiritual life, things started to improve. When I decided to treat people like people and ask them, how are you doing, rather than how much have you got done today, that started to rise my entire life. So what I would encourage you today to look at is, look at all areas of your life. Are there areas that you're striving for excellence? I bet there are. Are you achieving everything that you want to achieve? And if the answer is no, I invite you to look to the other areas of your life that you might be accepting mediocrity. And I would say, for us to be our best, to be all we were made to be, to reach our potential, to fulfill our purpose, we've got to learn to strive for excellence in all areas of our life. I hope that encourages you tonight. It's really been speaking and guiding my life lately, and maybe it can help yours. Have a good one.